on their respective seats. We have Ms. Nusrat Gani, Deputy Speaker. She is sitting right next to me. Then Ms. Anusha, please. Mr. Khurram Dastgir Khan, sir. Mr. Jalal Khan. Mr. Faruk, is he? Mr. Faruk, I can't see him. Is he around? Please. And Hina Pervez Bhatt. So we have two chairs of the panelists there. We have two chairs there. It's completed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I would request the ground staff here, those who are managing the event, please, if you can, restrict your activity to the minimal. And I would ask those who are not part of this proceeding if they could kindly leave the hall or be seated if they have a place here. Thank you very much. Thank you. I welcome you all in this plenary session. It is a very important topic today. It is extremely important, rather, I would say, and it is impacting our lives in a manner which is unprecedented and on a speed which was not even conceived. So the topic we have is a parliamentary innovations, AI and digital governance. The esteemed panelist we have here is Ms. Nusrat Gani. She is Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons. She has been our panelist yesterday. She is Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, member of the House of Commons several times. We have Ms. Anusha Rahman. She is Senator. She has been working in different capacities with the digital platforms and digital. She has been Minister for IT with the federal government in the previous tenure of Mian Nawaz Sharif Saab. We have Muhammad Shoaib. He has over 30 years of experience in academia and industry and is among top 2% scientific researchers globally. As president of I2C and chairperson at UMT Lahore, he has pioneered advancements in AI, blockchain, and e-governance. Then we have Jalal Khan Sahib, his honorable member representing Mr. Babar Salim Sawati. He had to go due to some political engagement. As you know, one of our parties have a day of protest today, so Babar Saab has left. Jalal Saab would be representing him and giving his position, and he is well versed with the subject. Then we have Khurram Dastgir Khan Sahib. He has served as, there was no cabinet without Khurram Saab in the past. This is what I know, what to list them, that he has served as Minister for Defense, Minister for Commerce, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister for Energy, and the list is long. And we have Hina Pervez Bhatt Sahiba. Ladies and gentlemen, I will just, for the convenience of this session, I will just frame certain topics in a way that the discussion remains in the ambit. The role of AI in governance and misinformation control. This would be the basic frame in which we would be discussing today, that how our panelists look at this, what type of legislative interventions are required, how the governance is going to reform, and what in different capacities people are doing about it. So I would just open the discussion by framing this a larger picture of it, a broader spectrum of it. And I would request Ms. Nusrat Gani to please have a word on the role of AI in governance and misinformation control.
Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency. I think my microphone is working. So good afternoon, everybody. There's a phrase I want to share with you, which is very English. I'm not sure what the Pakistani version is. But a lie can travel round the world and back before truth has woken up. So a lie can travel around the world and back before truth has woken up. And for all of us legislators, we know how hard it is to get the real message out day in, day out. So as well as being the Deputy Speaker in Parliament, I am leading an AI committee because my motivation is to ensure that the UK Parliament is first in class in understanding, legislating and adopting AI technology to enable us to do the work that we do. And my motivation for running the AI committee just reflects back on some of the challenges that Mr. Speaker has mentioned. My motivation is to ensure that democracy fundamentally survives the disruptive nature of AI. Regardless of who creates the AI, all AI models will in turn can be used to be malicious and manipulate not only our democracies but also disrupt our electoral process. So instead of being behind the curve and being forced to adopt AI algorithms and technology that does not work for us, my motivation and the committee I have in Parliament is to ensure that we are ahead of the curve in adopting AI, and I'll explain very briefly where we will be using AI going forward. Now, before I was the Deputy Speaker, I was the Minister for Science and Technology, the Minister for Business and Security, so I spent a lot of time working with, challenging, or helping to legislate frameworks around Google, around Meta, around Twitter, around Apple, and around YouTube as well. So I understand how progressive these industries are and how late we are in ensuring that we have the security in place. So we want to be first in class in adopting AI in the UK Parliament, which means that we'll be working on the following themes. Fundamentally, you know we're the mother of all parliaments. We legislate an enormous amount. We have a huge library of history and remarkable legislation that's come before us already. So we want AI to enable us to analyse legislative trends. We want AI to analyse similarities and differences in legislation to make the jobs of our clerks even more efficient. We want to make sure that we're using AI that's created by us to propose new legislation coming forward. We can also use AI to save a huge amount of time in mapping bills and amendments, but also helping us with post-legislative scrutiny too. We also want to ensure that AI enables us to communicate with our stakeholders, with our experts, and ensure that we're making the most of our resources. And like you, we have public submissions and also a petitions committee, and we want AI to enable us to analyse those submissions and make sure that we are swiftly taking decisions that need to be done. On a basic admin front, we know that adopting and creating AI that functions for the UK Parliament will make us even more efficient, not just for the clerks, members of Parliament, but also the way we communicate with the British public as well. We can use AI for simple things such as scheduling meetings and sessions, but far more crucial things using intelligent AI to manage documents and create the appropriate data that we need for our speeches and our legislative programme. We want AI to help us with translation. We want AI to help us with our digital communication. And we're also hoping that we can just look at issues around transparency in particular. Yesterday, we spoke a lot about youth engagement, and there's a huge understanding in the UK, no doubt here amongst many of the legislators in Pakistan, that we need to make sure that our democracies are transparent, accessible and accountable, and we're hoping that AI can enable us to do that. simple things such as automating the debates that take place, making sure that we can create a visualization of the data that we have, making sure that everybody, regardless of their background and disability, can access the legislative information that we have in our systems already, even analysing economic data and seeing if the decisions that we're taking are going to improve or disrupt our economy going forward, and also ensuring that when I talk in Parliament, it can be quite complicated language. When Lynn, my senior advisor, gives me guidance, it can be difficult legal language, that we're making the language as simple and as accessible as possible. I'm going to finish quickly because I want to make sure that we have enough space for Q&A. But we have a major challenge. As bureaucrats, we move slowly. Our public are impatient, and companies are impatient too. We cannot be in a situation where we are adopting AI, which we have not created. We have no ownership of the algorithms, and we do not own the data either. It will make our parliament, your parliament, incredibly vulnerable, not only to attacks, but to be undermined, whether they are doing the job they're meant to do on behalf of the members of parliament. So we have set ourselves a challenge in the UK to be the most AI first-in-class parliament to date. And give a flavour, I'm working and watching what my American counterparts are doing, my Canadian counterparts and my European counterparts. We don't want to rush, but we want to be first, and we don't want to be adopting technology that we haven't created that fits our nature of Parliament and enables our constituents to have confidence in the work that we are doing. If we move too fast, we'll leave our public behind. So we need to move at a pace with them, but we have no moment to lose. Thank you so much for your attention. I look forward to taking some questions shortly.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and thank you for just caring for the time. And this is what the House of Commons exactly would have trained one to be in time as it is required. Ms. Anusha, please.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. A very good afternoon to the delegates and the audience here. So my friends, I mean, this is not a topic that we are not facing with every day. This artificial intelligence and the emergence of new technologies has actually created a fresh layer of complexity to the already very vulnerable social media usage in our country. And combating disinformation is at the heart of the main issue, which we have witnessed after the advent of the new technologies that we introduced in Pakistan in 2014. And when we were introducing the new technologies in 2014, and when we introduced 3G and 4G in the country, there was a need to ensure that the online rights that are going to be created cannot be any different from the offline rights that we have. So talking about artificial intelligence, which is another technology, the main thing that remains at the helm of the consideration for the legislators, for the parliament, is that the citizens are going to benefit from the new technology. And the use of technology does not get superseded with the abuse of technology. Now, whilst we're talking about artificial intelligence as a tool which could be used and become more predominant than the human being, and there is a concern that there will be job replacements, there is a concern that the information, the spread of information that on the social media gets an outright weightage regardless whether it is disinformation or information. We will have to create an outlook which does not only serve the citizens their rights, but also we do not get overpowered by the commercial vested interest of the companies who are generating these or introducing these new technologies. So as Minister for 5 years of IT and Telecom, I think this was one of the key area of interest, because whatever we would push forward to the commercial interest holders as an option to protect our citizens who are using the technology, whether it is young children or it is women or it is our larger population. The answer to all our solutions was that we do not get your demands or weighted, your demands are not weighted in the same manner, because the law of the land of their commercial enterprise does not declare those issues as illegal. So if you are talking about hate speech, if you're talking about harassment, if you're talking about cyberbullying in the context of Pakistan, this is freedom of expression in the country where those companies are working. Now, the balance of, and as this honorable speaker has emphasized more on the fact that we should be talking about the fact that the artificial intelligence and its role in spread of the disinformation, what are the issues and the challenges that we have faced, I think the most important is that we will have to create solidarity among the political leaderships to decide and declare what would be the content that their own countries are going to allow to get spread among the masses. That is number one. Because the social media impact is, like Honorable Deputy Speaker just said, that the world will see and read that misinformation much more quickly and absorb it much more quickly than any rebuttal that comes afterwards. So until and unless we create a homogeneous voice, that what the parliamentarians think is going to be the right content for their citizens who vote for them, until then we will be fighting alone with the commercial interests which are vested in the organization who are creating these new technologies. And Honorable Deputy Speaker would remember that Mr. David Cameron had to put together in 2015 an international conference to combat the child protection right, to provide a platform where the child protection could be ensured online and where they could fight the pedophiles. And unfortunately, we found that the commercial enterprises were not willing to remove any content unless their own made committee would declare that content as a pedophile. So Mr. David Cameron led it as Prime Minister, and all the countries signed the charter. So the challenges of fake news and misinformation through the social media platforms would definitely require the Parliament to address this use of misinformation by algorithm detection of disinformation, by de-emphasizing the correct and false statements, promote greater accountability and transparency. Finland started in 2014 an awareness campaign between the masses as to what a disinformation could be. Digital media literacy, cybersecurity, and regulation of social media content would lie at the heart of the policymakers' agenda, where they would have to bring together not their own citizens only on board, but the international compass has to be on one score.
Thank you, ma'am. I believe the bell has rung like 40 seconds earlier. I would request Honorable Khurram Dastgir Khan Sahib to share his.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for first of all inviting me here this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for opening this tremendous can of worms of this regarding how you regulate not only artificial intelligence but social media. We have to speak plainly, ladies and gentlemen, and to first of all, to my mind, clarify misinformation is lies. Disinformation is lies. You have to say this. So this words of misinformation or disinformation is you are being lied to very brazenly through using these tools. The second thing I wanted to put out very clearly, that in many sections of our society, I see these tools being used and treated as toys to play with. But these are very dangerous toys, ladies and gentlemen. You have to be very wary of these toys. Particularly, I think, with artificial intelligence, which has gone a step ahead. But it is a step ahead because so much of our social media, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 1 decade has been governed by AI. We didn't see it until ChatGPT came out in 2022, but already all these algorithms that we talk about, an algorithm is AI. That some machine is deciding which lie or untruth will come up on your search screen when you search for something. So it's already been there. And in all these very large, very profitable corporations have been using AI for their purposes, but only because of ChatGPT and then other large language models that came out that, it's now clear to us that there is something called AI, and, I can use the AI, as I usually do, to translate my English tweets into Urdu. It's great fun. But the real damage in Pakistan's context that we saw was in the aftermath of 26th of November, when an AI image of miles of road stained with blood in Islamabad was put out. And that became the foundation for a whole complex of lies, this flood of lies that followed. And the basis was, ladies and gentlemen, that AI-generated image of blood on the streets of Islamabad, which was completely false. So we just have to be very wary, and now since we are sitting in a provincial legislature and a lot of national legislators, I see my previous colleagues sitting in the National Assembly, we have to protect the public interest because private interest protects itself. But there is no one to protect the public interest. And the public interest, as I see sitting in a democracy that we are trying to develop and put on a firmer footing, is to help our citizens through our legislation and regulation to separate truth from lies. Because this is the greatest blurring that has taken place, and we are unable to see. And what it has done is that this inability for us, most of us, to separate truth from lies has dumped us into ghettos of our own so-called truths. So I only want to hear to what my friends want to say, no matter how fanciful or a lie it is, because I don't want to listen to the truth that is inconvenient or something that is uncongenial to me. So the regulation and legislation regarding AI and social media is a very difficult subject because three things have to be balanced simultaneously. First is, of course, which is a less of a concern in Pakistan, is technological innovation. So one doesn't want to regulate so much that people are discouraged from innovation, one. But second is extremely important, the responsibility. And it is a subject that is a global concern, that whether all these platforms that we use should be held responsible for the content that is on their platforms. So it's something, and since the bell has rung, and I have much more to say, but the issue is that I do want to say that the current state-of-the-art legislation was passed by the European Union last year. The EU's 2024 AI law is now on the books. It might not be the best law, we have to adopt it, but it is terribly important that we begin to regulate these technologies which are very dangerous and bloody toys. Thank you very much.
Khurram sir, thank you very much. Rather, what you have just mentioned, I have just put it with reasoning and with all of what has been going through since last 2 decades now. I am of the opinion, you can take it once you will be asking questions to your panelist, that knowing truthful facts, truthfulness, my right to information, to truthful information is my fundamental right. So thank you very much for bringing the debate into the right context. Now I would request Mr. Dr. Muhammad Shoaib Farooq to please share his thoughts.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I, Dr. Muhammad Shoaib Farooq, Professor of AI and Vice President I2C here. Actually, topic is legislation for AI, digital collaboration and social media governance. This topic is very important. Actually, 2024 is the AI boom year. So why we use AI, especially rapid dissemination of information and misinformation is spreading on social media. What are the challenges of parliament? Parliament challenges first to balance free speech and regulation, protecting citizens from harmful content, ensuring transparency and accountability. You can see in this chart, next. More than 70 to 80% people from these countries concerned about the dissemination of false information. The false information is very, in order to protect harmony or well-being of people, we should control these misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and fake news. So why we use AI? Actually, AI have ability to identify misleading or harmful posts quickly. The benefits of governance are improved decision making with data-driven insights and enhanced citizen engagement and trust in public institutions. Okay, the use of AI can help. You use with the help of AI technology, algorithms, tools, and techniques. We can filter out hate speech, fake accounts at scale. So for example, Facebook uses is to catch the speech in languages of the region proximity. But AI have dangerous side. For example, we can create deepfakes with the help of AI. But in order to catch deepfakes, we should have some legislation and regulations. The next topic is AI legislation. Actually, AI legislation, major focus areas of AI legislation are misinformation, fake news, hate speech, and religious racial tensions, government criticism, and dissent, rapid takedowns and platform compliances, and AI governance. So actually, the need of AI in legislation is very important. Growing independence on AI and social media for news and information. We need, actually in Pakistan we have a PICA law. Existing PICA law have ineffective in modernizing digital content. The misinformation, hate speech, and unethical AI use pose challenges for the creation of legislation. The key stakeholders are we should involve major stakeholders in order to build best legislation and regulations. The key stakeholders are social media platforms, civil society organizations, tech experts and academics, policymakers and regulators, global and regional organizations. For example, we can involve social media platforms to develop and enforce content policies. For example, Facebook and Meta has best policies in order to enforce policies related to fake news and dissemination of misinformation. But major challenges and benefits of multi-stakeholder engagement is within policy development, enforcement and compliance, user protection, innovation and technology. Actually, if we involve these stakeholders in policy development, we have pros and cons. For example, in policy development, involvement of major stakeholders is more inclusive and comprehensive. And benefits of for the enforcement and compliance is high legitimacy and when multiple stakeholders cooperate. And major benefits using involving stakeholders in user protection. For example, more balanced approach to free speech versus harmful contents. We should follow best practices and common challenges. Best practices for development of legislation is clear obligation and transparency, rapid misinformation response, specialized regulatory bodies, balanced liability protection, and independent oversight and judicial review. But challenges are there. Major challenges are how to implement these regulations. Major challenges is cost and administrative burden, and minimal accountability for oversight and high enforceability complexity. The enforcement is very tough. Regulations are made, regulations are built, but Due to cost and administrative burden and high enforcement complexity, sometimes these enforcements are not possible to implement. And major challenge, another major challenge, overreach and censorship. Censorship, maybe we develop some censorship or enforcement of censorship that are not possible on existing literature. The key laws by countries, you can see major 7 countries developed laws related to legislation of AI, especially social media.
With sincere apologies, thank you very much for this very insightful details which you have given. And I would request the Assembly Secretariat staff to make a printout of these, this presentation which Dr. Saab has made and share with the participants and the panelists, please.
I am happy to share this content with you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I have to thank you very much anyways for your very, very detailed presentation. I would request Honorable Jalal Khan to please share his thoughts.
Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. I am Jalal Khan, Member Provincial Assembly KP. I am here on behalf of my speaker, Babar Salim Swati. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens, Assalamu alaikum. Today, I want to say a few words about this parliamentary innovations legislating for AI, digital collaboration, and social media governance. Artificial intelligence, AI, influence the socio-economic life of human in furtherance of social media. Legislating for AI, the governance and policy making is essential to protect the rights and privacy of individuals. The impact of AI in life of individuals, threat to privacy, and protection of rights to the people entails to legislate for AI to ensure its beneficial use for conducive environment and better outcomes in life of individuals, companies, institutions, legal entities, and government and public at large. The social media during the COVID-19 was utilized for dissemination of information, awareness, education, and involvement of public in discussion of e-parliament. But on the other hand, it caused disinformation, fake news, and disturbed privacy of individuals. The use of AI, awareness on its use, protection of rights, and to ensure privacy is the ultimate objective of legislating for AI. AI transforms social structure, and technological swift development needs to avoid potential risk and repercussions of the use of AI, which needs to legislate for AI. The policies to ensure any mishap, proactive governing, regulations, and legal framework is required to be materialized. Ethics, practices, guidelines, and principles for the AI requires to be transformed, and legal enactment to define duties, rights, functions, protection, and ensure legal certainty. The social media, its application and tools brought cyber crimes, defamation, libel, slander, disinformation, and concocted stories, unauthentic, unverified, and character assassination of individuals. Besides its usefulness and countless benefits enormously, I would like to come to the conclusion, as we look to the future, it's clear that digital transformation, AI and social media governance will continue to shape the way we govern, interact, and share information for Pakistan. The role of Parliament in legislating for these technological advancements is crucial through AI tools. digital collaboration, and responsible legislation. We can improve governance, tackle the challenges of misinformation, and ensure that technology is used ethically and transparently in the public sphere. The CPA countries' branches can learn from each other's experiences, knowledge, and sharing innovative ideas. Indeed, CPA is a platform for the purpose, and it is purported to transform the opportunities and to strength for a better future of our people through legislatures and parliaments. Thank you so much for hearing me at this event.
Thank you very much, Jalal Sahab. You have put the details in a very right manner. Now I would request Hina Parvez Bhatt Sahiba.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, I'm really honorable speaker Malik Ahmed Khan that he arranged this conference and getting people up from all across the South Asian countries, and especially our esteemed guests to be part of here the conference today. It's an absolute pleasure to be on the panel and to be attending the conference, because it's like in the history of our Punjab that this is the first joint CPA conference that was arranged. So we thank Malik Ahmed Khan for helping us put forth this conference and the whole assembly staff. Second, I want to thank the Honorable Miss Nusrat Gani, and you especially told us like one important thing was that the UK Parliament doesn't want to be behind in innovating for laws in AI. Similarly, we feel that the US and the European Union and UK, we don't want to lag behind. On one side we have India, we have China. On the other side we have US, we have UK to look forward to. So we, as Pakistan, as nations also, we do not want to deny the fact as parliamentarians that we lag behind on any law on artificial intelligence. So I want to thank Senator Anusha Rahman. She was the IT minister, and she also said a very important thing that, you know, with we do not want to be hostage to the companies who are taking advantage of us. Similarly, Khurram Dastgir Saab, one side, when he's used the word, the toy, that's true, because a lot of parties or fake social media would use social media or Twitter or posts just as toys to have the wrong narrative. So as parliamentarians, on one side, we have, as for example, as Pakistan, we can't say no to technology. If we say no to technology, then we'll lag behind all the countries. For example, if we see on one side, there was the US, and like Khurram Dastgir Saab said that, you know, chat GPT. But on the other side, we see China as with the DeepSeek. So when China introduced that AI app, the US market share got down. So as country like Pakistan, we cannot say no to technology because we'll be lagging behind. But also we need to regulate social media and artificial intelligence and technology. For that, I would say that, for example, there will be no moment in time that with the future we will say that, you know, the best, most intelligent person in the room will make all the decisions. For example, in the Punjab Assembly, I would say Malik Ahmed Khan is the most intelligent person in the room. But what if in the future 10 years, he's replaced by AI or a computer? So that is how we see that with AI as technology coming forth, will the people be replacing? So I think this is one fundamental question, that we cannot say no to technology, but we can also not lag behind technology. So as parliamentarians, we should be able to legislate properly. For example, like Khurram Dastgir Saab said, that the PICA Act and the was for social media regulations has come. But one, I would like to just add this as the Punjab Women Protection Authority with Maryam Nawaz Sharif as the Chief Minister Punjab. She has used AI for virtual women police stations, for Punjab Women Safety App, and smart governance. So on one side, we can say,
And I have to stop you here 5 minutes. Thank you very much. And I don't know how you put it in your own languages, but if somebody tells someone that he is the most intelligent person, in my Punjabi, when you say it, "Bade badshah ho tusi," I know what it means. So, yeah, that this is. So, those who didn't understand, "Bade badshah ho tusi" is my Punjabi. This means that you are not right here. Thank you, Ina. So I will just now, we move on to the next phase of this session, and it will change its mode from plenary to interactive. And I will open the house for question hour session. You clearly have to spell the person you are asking the question, and it has to be structured. And the structure will remain in the first phase. The first question would be legislative and governance. This is the area in which the questions should be focused, please. So I open the house. You can raise your hands, please. So I have to pick amongst one. I'll pick Khaisa first. Shaji, with an apology.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. First thing, we are very much clear about the legislation that we have been made. We should not mix legislation with the topic of our legislation for AI and digital collaboration. That the US, EU, India, Pakistan...
Khaisa, you are asking this question from which panelist?
I think anyone can, because definitely
that's
UK...
That's right, then it's my...
UK is not taking any initiative regarding the legislation. So
No, they are. This is what I...
I'm happy to respond in the first instance, but finish
Fine.
your question.
Please. So, like PICA, the ordinance, this is limited to our society and our people. We are restricting our people. We are not controlling AI. We are not controlling the social media platforms. It is our internal administrative reforms. So, social media platform, definitely they are running by the meta organization, government organization, regulation body, and advertisers. So, my question, through legislation, can we have agreements with all these individual social media platforms, considering our custom, our constitution, our religion? As the Dubai have, they restricted the blasphemy content, they restricted the adult content. So can we, government of Pakistan or any government, can have this arrangement with these all social media platforms?
You have raised particularly an important...
The important is, one more thing, sir. We have different, also the examples available as in Netflix. This facility is not available in your country. Like Alexa, it is not available in our country. Amazon. So these are the existing examples we have. So please.
Thank you, Khaisa. We have a very, very particular question, and I would...
I know that the Minister has a response as well, but you did hit the nail on the head. Are you restricting people or the tech? And it's easier to restrict people than tech in some circumstances. And the reality is that most of the major platforms, I'm not sure what all of you use here, so forgive me, but if you're using the major platforms, which is Meta, Apple, Google, or Twitter, their legislative foundation is based in either Northern Ireland, Europe, UK, or America. So in a way, it's a little bit easier for us to get consensus from them because we can legislate fines, which means that we can deal with issues such as removing content that isn't appropriate or child sex abuse images, because we can obviously, we're very clear on what those images are, right? We also contact the businesses, so they don't want those adverts popping up on any of the pages where they're promoting their advertising. So we work with business and we work with the content platform providers, and there is a complete understanding what is right and what is wrong. The challenge lies when especially when you're working in a delicate democracy, who gets to choose what is in the public interest? And you know, you talked about the Middle East and the blasphemy and sexual content. That's pretty binary. We know what that is. But what about everything else? Then one could argue that a governing party could argue is against us, an opposition party could argue is for us. So there's a space where you have to have some agreement what that means. All isn't lost. The European Union, with all the countries that are involved, have decided what is harmful content, and that can border on political discourse as well, and what is safe content, so that there are frameworks where you can decide where content works and does not work. My anxiety, which I think goes to the final speaker, is when you're based in Pakistan, you're not China and India, where a number of those new platforms exist. You're not Europe, America, and UK, where the rest of the platforms exist. What power do you have to ensure these platforms are giving you space to be creative and open, but also you can actually penalize them when you think the content is provocative and leads to potentially riots on the streets? So you have to maintain a very different or create a brand new relationship. When we had to remove content that was tricky about a decade ago, when the social media platforms wouldn't listen to us, we went to the businesses. And the businesses said, we do not want inappropriate children's images or extremism images. And it was the businesses that withdrew their custom from Twitter, from Meta, that enabled those firms to change the way that they were doing. And the truth is, they have the algorithm to promote their products, so they have the algorithm to take the content down. Yeah. And you've just got to go hard and fast. I'll stop there, because I know the Minister has quite a lot to contribute. Minister.
I would direct this question to Ms. Anusha also. She has been Minister for IT for a long time, and she works in the Senate committees also.
A 5-year journey dealing with governance on information technology and telecoms. And as you would recall, in 2014, when I was doing the PICA law, this whole
Khaja Sahab was also part of the PICA law.
So, so the thing is that we have to appreciate one thing, and we have to be very clear in our heads. We are dealing with a commercial interest. The vested interest wants all the content gets hits. When you get the hits, it's a dollar monetization. This dollar monetization is what you are dealing with when you're making the laws. So what you're essentially saying, take off the hate speech, take out the glorification of an offense, take out pedophiles, take out anything that is negative, and we all know that all the lies and all the negativity gets the maximum hits, and they get maximum dollars. And this is what you are dealing with. So we have to be very clear what we are dealing with. So when I would go to the technology platforms and would say that this is against the content is against my national security, this content is against it's harmful for my people because it is against my religion, it is a blasphemous content, etc., they would tell me that where is the law that declares this content to be this, this, and this? And I would say, okay, fine, Pakistan did not have a law. So Pakistan did not have the PICA law at that time, and we were trying to, we were juggling with YouTube on a blasphemous content. So what was the first thing that we had to do? We had to make the law. So what was happening with me at that point in time as a minister, that there was no law, yet the responsibility to get the content removed or blocked was lying with the Ministry of IT. So what did I have to do? What was the first thing I had to do? I had to create the online rights for the people. So what happened to me in the 2-year period that I was putting the parliament together on a consensus draft? What were the commercial entities doing? They were creating a complete environment of freedom of expression. So the NGOs through which they were working in the country were bringing out the debate that what the government is trying to do is trying to curtail the freedom of expression. So your freedom of expression ends when it hits me personally. You cannot abuse me on my face. How can you abuse me online? So this particular debate about freedom of expression was generated through the NGOs, which were fed in commercially by the technology companies who were sitting thousands and miles away from my country. So when I decided to make, first they would put to the government, make the law, and then they would become the biggest blockade between getting the law made. You get my point?
It makes it very clear.
But then, now...
Anusha, you have put it very plainly, in very simple words.
Because with your permission, I just want to add one sentence.
Sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not trying to regulate technology.
Yeah.
We are trying to fight lies, hate speech, cyberbullying, erosion of privacy, and pedophilia. So I think it was put very succinctly and pithily by the outgoing head of the FCC in the US, Lina Khan, who said there is no AI or social media exception to the laws. So if I take out an advertisement in a newspaper libeling or slandering you, all the force of the law will be applied to me. But if I do the same on social media, nothing happens. So that exception, the social media exception and the AI exception has to be sort of cleared out and say, yes, if you slander and libel according to the laws of our country, whether it's on AI or social media, you will be subject to the same penal clauses or punishment that exist elsewhere.
Yeah, Khurram Sahib, thank you. Ji Zulfikar Ali Shah Sahib, please, sir.
Madam Speaker, in your country, the rights of an individual are really jealously guarded. There are libel laws and there are slander laws, and the basic infrastructure already exists. So here we are dealing with tools, and tools are tools. You know, you can have a chainsaw, and you can make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie out of it, or you can have an AI, and you can have the Odyssey 2001, where AI goes berserk. So you have the basic laws in place where you're protecting your individual. And it is, the main problem for us is that our laws for the individual rights protection are not really there as strongly as in your country. And if we follow suit and go in your direction, I think we are lagging on the basic legislation which protects the individual. So coming up with laws about what is right and what is wrong and what's good for one person, what's good for another person, I feel we're a bit lagging on that legislation side. And I think we should do our job and get our basics right before we can follow suit.
Shah Sahib, that brings to a very relevant debate in this regard, right? The basis, the fundamental position will remain the same. If it is just to be sifted, that what is obscene, but obscene will remain obscene. Hate speech will remain hate speech. Religiously content which could spread some religious hatred, that would be not just for one particular religion or somebody. It has to be universally accepted that to any religion, nothing offensive could be. But the level of tolerance to which societies and different countries and different cultures tolerate such things, now that tolerance level is again a question mark to be debated. Now the question today is that what we are dealing with is AI. Now AI is, would it be just left to flow the way it is flowing, or has the parliaments to intervene and bring some legislative orders for governance and for oversight both? So I would request the honorable participants to bring in the debate in the focus in which the legislative intervention, what the honorable deputy speaker has to say, what Madam Anusha as Minister IT has to say. Yes, PICA was there. PICA refrained me from something, or PICA made me able for something. That is a debate we are having in the country, right? I will see to it. But what legislative interventions and for governance AI has to do, this is the first topic we have. Anybody with the new question, please? Yes, Dishan sir. Zishan sir, before we take the new question, what Shah Sahab just asked,
Thank you.
Ms. Gani would respond to it.
There is a challenge. If you don't have fundamental rights in the real world, here in Pakistan, right now, here and now, you and I, we're not going to get those secured in the cyber space. And if the cyberspace is then just become a preserve of the ultra-rich that can take these major platforms to court and deal with issues around any grievance that they may have or any defamation. So the reality is we have got some pretty solid rights on the individual in our country, and those rights are given to everybody, regardless of where they are socioeconomically. So even the smallest individual, we've had some really peculiar cases, like a basic individual has taken a major firm to court because, Twitter for example, because they feel they're being defamed. So you have to have those laws available to everybody before you move them on. But we have a challenge in the UK. We thought we understood intellectual property right. We thought we understood data protection and privacy. But that is challenged when new platforms arrive, especially platforms that don't abide by any international norms, like DeepSeek that are based in China. How can we ensure that another entity, another state, does not commercialize my data and knows more about me than I do myself, and also then ensures that I'm limited to the information I receive, so the choices I make, the decisions I take, aren't based on free, fettered access to information every time I go into a platform. So these are things that we are trying to legislate for. But you are right. Unless those rules exist in the real world, you're not going to have them apply to everybody in the fake world.
Yeah,
If I understand this correctly, the numbers of my constituents on my phone, I cannot share them in your country, I cannot share them with everybody because that would be a breach of privacy.
That's correct, sir. Yes, Zishan sir.
Sir, thank you very much. I would just like to add what actually Shah Sahab said. We always get to hear a sentence that right to information. Isn't the high time that we should...
Right to?
Information.
Information.
Isn't the high time that we should move to right to true information? Because that's where we are lacking actually at the moment. And the laws are made to protect people's right to access true information and protect them from false information, misinformation. So what are the challenges that we have? Why we are unable to make such laws in our country? I just give you one example. Everyone actually has experienced that.
You just have to put the questions, Zishan sir.
Yes. This is the question actually. The example was related to this question as well. That we have, for example, there's a news. The news is aired in our country on a channel, but the same news cannot be aired on the same channel in United Kingdom or US because the laws are there to stop such news. So that is a difference.
We just have to bring the debate back into the ambit. And I would just direct this question to Dr. Shoaib. Dr. Saab, can you enlighten the House with this question which Zishan Saab just raised? Is this a question of a political will for not passing these laws, or is this some disability that we cannot make some good laws?
Actually, in order to implement these laws, we should have clear definition of what is misinformation, what is disinformation, what is fake news, and what is hate speech. Actually, clear definitions are not available. Different laws define different definitions, and definitions are always ambiguous. So we should define clear definitions. What is, what is different between opinion, style, and by deliberate hoax. So in laws actually implements based on different biases, and actually AI based on data analysis, and data is always biased. So sometimes AI decisions are biased. In order to revoke biasness from these laws, we should enforce some frameworks. For example, 3 frameworks are available in world. First one is developed by OECD, second one is developed by UNESCO, and third one is IEEE. For example,
basically, Dr. we are referring that there are internationally accepted, universally accepted definitions which we have to look into.
Yeah.
So, yes, Ms. Kardar, please.
AI is the future.
It has to be questioned, ma'am.
Ji, AI is the future, and according
Your
to
question is towards?
to the first two esteemed speakers.
Please.
And according to the World Economic Forum, the biggest threat to the world is disinformation today. So my question is, and a lot of points you've already conveyed to us, we might legislate at the national level, we might legislate at the regional level, but all these laws that we make, people, technology, people who are running this technology, they're so commercialized, they're not bound by our laws. Definitions are so different. So we might use firewall, we might use PICA, but they, you know, we run into trouble again. So how do we make sure that our legislation will help us to secure you know, the rights of people and also our national security, which is always threatened by this disinformation?
Thank you for that question, but the reality is that they are bound by laws. They're bound by laws, which is why they choose to have their parent companies in countries such as in Western Europe at the moment. So they are bound by laws. The reality is that the content moves much faster than we can legislate them for, and that is the challenge. So they're bound by laws on issues on, we've talked about inappropriate content on children, inappropriate content on adults, extremism, extreme content on the political debates, whether it's far left or far right, or content that can incite violence. They are bound by laws. But the reality is that content is produced by content creators that aren't bound by any laws, and by the time you reach them to re-legislate, you can run out of time. And the challenge you have based here in Pakistan is that none of these major companies are based here. So if you're legislating just for your domain, but the information is fundamentally international. And I know that you do a huge amount of work in polio, so for you it's incredibly personal. You cannot have disinformation out on a polio vaccination. It will just kill people, that's the fact. And there's no way a social media firm will want to do that. But if there is misinformation, it will take you so long to find out, because the information will be on the ground before you realize. And by the time you try and correct it, the damage is done. So how do you work to make sure that the disinformation, you're ahead of it at each time, and you can contact that company to make sure it's taken down without any debate? And that's a challenge you have in a country like Pakistan.
Yeah, Ms. Anusha, you have already answered this.
Yeah, I think, this is what I just earlier spoke as well. We are a country of 250 million people. So what is it that we do? So we try to create new rights. So for example, PICA created 28 new rights for the citizens. And this legislation was implemented not only, or there was an effort to implement it on the citizens which are living here, but also on the companies who now had those actions, which if it was hate speech, was illegal. They would go out and remove the content if that law was there. It was there, they would do it, but largely they wouldn't do it because they would say that the content that you have identified as hate speech is now a freedom of expression. So we do not remove it. So as Madam Nusrat just said, that because they do not have their commercial setups here in our country, what is it that we do? What do? We shut down the platform. So X is not working in Pakistan, but is it really not working? Or by using the VPNs, you can still have an access to X. Now, what is it that we can do to impact? The real impact is that we come out as a group of countries together like CPA platform. And this was my proposal, that, for example, with the OIC, we have taken up the debate of blasphemous content, that we take as Muslim countries. The approach has to be taken with maximum population. So the CPA now comes together, and we work together as a core committee. I requested the Honorable Speaker on that, that we mark down the bare minimums that we can agree on. For example, all content which is against all religions shouldn't be there. So if anti-Semitism, there can be no content regarding anti-Semitism on the internet, then there should be no content against Islam. There should be no content against Christianity and all other religions. So now if the commercial interest companies find that anti-Semitism shouldn't be there, there has to be a way that they give the same respect to all other religions. And this will only come by if the populations work together, countries work together, forums work together, and we adopt the same philosophy.
Thank you, Ma'am Anusha. You have answered it very plainly. I have to make a choice, and I will go to that young lady. Please. Professor, it is just the encouragement for these young boys and girls.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Laila Hassan. I have my question to Ma'am Senator. When you control the hate or false information or the vocabulary that you'll put into the accepted terms, how are you sure or how do you ensure that the same kind of misinformation is being spread under the vocabulary that you have initiated or said to be the right kind of the vocabulary to use online?
Yeah, if I have understood the question rightly, she just wants a protection from that, what is being used online to slander someone or to just tarnish somebody's personality. The ones we take in the normal life, could it be translated into the laws which could protect them online? Is this right, Beta?
So basically, this is what the whole debate is about. That what your rights are offline should be your rights online as well. Your offline and online rights have to be exactly the same. And this is what the law of the country could do for you. However, the challenge that we face is that even though you do make those rights available through law online, the commercial interest or the companies and the organization who are running those platforms do not necessarily abide by those laws. And this is the reason, this is what we are discussing.
This makes it clear. Dr. Saab, he's a professor of IT University, is Vice Chancellor.
Thank you. So my question is from the Honorable Deputy Speaker Nusrat Gani Sahiba. So I was just wondering that what is the state of knowledge in the House of Commons regarding this quite a changing field of AI, because these are the people who are actually going to make the laws. So I was just wondering the state of knowledge and how you keep the House of Commons updated with the changing things. Like, I was just thinking that, are there any kind of workshops for these people who are actually making the laws, the application of AI, and especially I'm interested in knowing regarding the knowledge about the issues, especially the hallucination effects, especially the algorithm biases, and also ethical issues. So how you educate?
I must appreciate your questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Brought the debate to the right context. Now this is the question, ladies and gentlemen. Those who have to legislate, do they have the right amount of knowledge of AI? And is there any medium that to be imparted to these honorable ladies and gentlemen? This is a question.
So we have 650 members of parliament, and they come from remarkable different backgrounds, but a number of them, like myself, come from backgrounds where they have access to or been involved in technology companies, so we're not new to it whatsoever. And we also have a remarkable number of select committees. I think you maybe call them caucuses here. And those select committees, I've been on the Business and Trade Select Committee, Security Committee, Science and Tech Committee. And the inquiries that we have done in the UK, which have been agitated for by backbench MPs because their knowledge is so high, has meant that when we hold an inquiry and we ask you to come as a witness, you have to come. So we've had head of Google, head of Twitter, head of YouTube. They've had to come in front of us, and we've had to ask them the questions the minister's dealing with. How are you protecting our citizens? How are you monitoring, commercializing my data? Who are you selling my data onto? The information they give has to be absolutely correct because they're giving evidence to inquiry. And the inquiries that we have done in the United Kingdom have led legislation within the EU and within the United States of America. So I would say the basic level of knowledge is high and also driven by fantastic select committees. But Parliament itself, the fact that I'm now chairing this select committee and I will have to provide information to my colleagues, my members, on everything such as access to information, cyber security, IP, data protection, discrimination, equality, and employment. And as Chairman of Ways and Means, I've got to make sure that I understand the legislative programme now, also what it should look like next year and also in 10 years' time. And I can only do that people like Lynn Gardner, who's my senior clerk, who's here with me today. So we are very knowledgeable. We're doing what we can right now, and also that we're forecasting. And the way we're able to forecast is we keep close some of these companies whilst also being quite difficult to them and keeping an eye on what's happening in the US and Europe as well. So we're not small or narrow-minded, we're quite open. And we're trying to create our own AI. So we'll be writing the algorithm. I want my people to write it. I don't want to buy it off the shelf. I want to trust the people that are creating it. So Lynn can trust it when she's doing her work, and my constituents can trust it when they think I'm using it. And that's going to be the next big challenge. Can I create it without another firm getting ahead of me and selling me a product? So please watch what we're doing in the UK. More than happy to share that with you and the CPA, and then see our journey. And hopefully we will be the most AI-efficient parliament in the next few years.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation. I thank the honorable panelists for their valuable comments. This total interactive session brought the debate into few very key topics which we have, and I'm not very fond of reading those papers which are being given to me in writing, but still it is a duty which I have to perform. And the debate which we just had is legislation for AI, digital collaboration and social media, how parliaments can use AI and foster digital collaboration to improve governance while addressing challenges posed by fake news. That has been the main concern of this interactive session, which I have noticed that almost every question was regarding fake news. Now, this is one part of it. Fake news is, as Dr. Shoaib just said, is being defined. It has been tried to distinguish between the misinformation and disinformation and fake news, and the contents they have been named with different other reasons. But Khurram Dastgir Khan has put it in a very, very clear word, that we just try to take words and then we just try to get their definitions, but a lie is a lie. So you have to think on it, you have to ponder on it. And I would suggest the respective parliaments, the respective legislative houses, unless your members are equipped with the knowledge, as the Vice Chancellor has rightly posed the question to the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, then we are missing huge. And we won't be able to come up to the right requirements which are of the changing day today. It will bother us, and it will bother us in real manner. So I would request the Honorable branch secretaries who are available here in this house with the respective speakers and the head of delegations, that please do make some arrangements. And there are people, like we have the Vice Chancellor from the IT University, we have Dr. Shoaib sitting here, we have people from alumni. We can get our members equipped to at least have the basics, that how these AI are going to impact our society, our governance models, our legislative arrangements. It is going to impact everything, trust me for this. So before concluding today, I once again thank you, Ms. Nusrat Gani. Thank you very much for your very valuable insight you have given. Madam Anusha Rahman, Dr. Shoaib, Jalal Khan, thank you very much. And Hina, thank you very much. And calling me a Badshah, thank you.
Just one last thing. Thank you very much for the panel. The point that you just highlighted, you need to have a research and innovation fund established to equip the parliamentarians, because without the resources, nothing will happen or move forward.
Without saying it.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you much. And I would request, yeah, it is. And see, that we will bring in our charter today once we will finalize it, and we will get the details in that. Ladies and gentlemen, lunch is served, please. So it's just a bit tight lobby, so we have to make our way there. Thank you.